Well, my friends, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a fresh episode of our city zoo build, Tropical Wings Zoo. So we are back once again, my friends, in TW, and I've got a brand new episode for you today. Now, it's not exactly what I promised I was going to build last episode, but I've got quite a lot done, and as I've been saying, I'm trying to get an episode out a week. If you missed last episode though, my friends, it is linked above. Feel free to go and check that out. But in today's episode, I've built a new prairie dog habitat. Let's get into it. So here we are, gang. We are at the entrance and we're going to get into today's episode. I don't imagine this is going to be a particularly long one. We are obviously going to do a what's happening next, because I think what I'm actually going to tackle next is quite a big project. So we'll get to that at the end of today's episode. Obviously, I've got the main part of this, which is a new prairie dog habitat, but there's also been a few little bits and bobs that I've done as well. So let's get into this one, shall we? So we're just going to move straight on over to the area that I've built the prairie dogs, basically. There's been a little bit of work done sort of to the backstage, getting pathing all finished off, starting to like work towards where a restaurant's going to be, so yeah, really there was just a lot of little bits put in place for like planning and things like that. So I did say in today's episode there was going to be a restaurant here. I was aiming to do the restaurant and the prairie dog. Now obviously I was away on holiday last week, and I came back this week to a bunch of work that needed doing, so I was a little bit behind. So unfortunately the restaurant didn't get done. I couldn't really finalise how I wanted the restaurant to look anyway, so I think it's a good idea when you're in that sort of mindset is to just put it to one side and work on the thing that you know what you're going to do with it. But essentially what I have done here though is I've started to kind of like work this out, like the pathway and stuff. Now this is of course the prairie dog habitat over here. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But yeah, I started kind of working the pathway out. As you can see, I've put a staff door in here, so we've got another form of kind of access to this area. And then I did a bunch of backstage work here, basically, because it all needed to be kind of tied in, because this level here was slightly up, compared to this level. Obviously we've got these gates and we wanted this to kind of have like a road type system, because we want to be able to bring cars in here. Obviously you will remember we have this ramp in now with these gates, so we can bring some small vehicles in, if we ever needed to transport the sea lions off hab and things like that. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to put that in. Obviously we needed to kind of tie all this up because we were going to build this in here anyway, and then as a result of kind of getting all this done, I've tied in all of this planter now, added a couple more trees actually. I think it's quite nice, like it fills in this gap a little behind here. Even though we've kind of got this tree which is a bit more rustic, it's just nice to keep this tidy design in behind, just to kind of keep it all tied in. And then as you can see, I carried on that wall design all the way along here, and I've actually used it as part of this hab and then to here. But what I'm going to do with this wall is once it's finished off near the restaurant, this wall design will be done, because it was kind of put in place for the sea lion habitat, for decoration for that. So I don't want to continue it on any further because I think it would be a bit overkill basically. So from this point on we'll probably move on to kind of like another design. But I just kind of put a planter in, a little bit of seating and a bin and whatnot. We can add some other little like details at a later date, to kind of fill gaps in, little planters and things like that. I've got this staircase in here that goes straight down to the prairie dogs. Then we've got a staircase here, and then there will be another staircase and wheelchair access kind of here, basically, is what I'm thinking, like near the restaurant, because the way the restaurant's going to work is there's going to be an entrance exit at the top, but there will also be an entrance exit at the bottom, so there'll be some seating area here and some seating area here. And I am actually thinking that it'll probably be all seating at the top and the actual restaurant part will be down here where you get your food and stuff. I think that's probably going to be the best way to do it. We'll put all windows and you'll be able to look out, and I just think it'll be really, really cool. I just didn't know exactly how I wanted it to look. So that's kind of that area, and then we just come to the main event basically, and this is what I've built for today's episode. This is our new prairie dog habitat. Now I'm going to be really honest, this was it was like an easy enough build, but it was really difficult to get a consistent like feel of how a prairie dog hab should look in zoos, because all of the habs that I looked at were all really different. You had some that were like kind of, with buildings and like cages around. There was some that had, walls that were like shoulder height. There was some that had, it was glass kind of like all the way around, like 360 design. With glass, above head height. There was lots of different designs, basically, so it was hard to kind of pinpoint one that I really, really liked. Now, I kind of felt like because of the way Planet Zoo worked, I had to kind of do an outbuilding. I had to have some form of kind of building, just basically because of how Planet Zoo works. Now, from a realistic standpoint, there were a few that I found with houses, but the majority didn't have houses, which I found really, really interesting. And with the new update that's coming, the 1.10 update, there's going to be a low gate, and I actually think that might have been perfect for this hab, but I've built it now, and I am actually sold on the design, and I like the building. I think it all really ties in nicely, so I'm not going to be changing it from here on out. But basically, as you all know, I reference a lot of stuff, and it was difficult to kind of pinpoint what they did. The other thing was, I found some that were like full-on grass, I found some that were like full-on kind of like mud and dirt and sand, and then I found some that were mixtures, so then it was kind of like, how do you decorate the habitat? Now, as you can see, I've gone with a bit of both. I've gone with that kind of, that sandy design. And I've kind of lent on the ideas that I used for the meerkats, basically, because it was a very similar kind of process to kind of building the hab anyway. So, first and foremost, let's take a look at the house, shall we? And then after that, we'll take a really good look at the habitat, basically. So this is our kind of housing unit. As you can see, it's really, really basic. It's quite tiny. I really like the scale of this building. I'm going to be honest, I think scaling of buildings is something I'm slowly getting better at. When you don't have to use kitchens and stuff, though, you can get the scaling better because obviously you don't have to go as high. So that is a big help. But yeah, that's kind of like the way the building looks. It's really basic. I've just kind of gone with my usual kind of feel with the design. Instead, I've gone wood and plaster. I wanted to kind of at least lean on what we were doing with this so that it didn't feel kind of too funky or whatnot and out of place. As you can see, window on the back. So yeah, we've got our doorway here. So if we go through the doorway, you will see this is the inside of the building. So this door obviously goes straight out onto the habitat, which is this is a pretty basic, way of doing things. I haven't done an airlock for this building because I wanted to keep it relatively small. Now, that might be a little bit of an error on my part just because of, the nature of the animals, any animal being able to escape. But there is the window, so they could always look through and kind of make sure before they went and opened the door. I'm not sure, but I feel like, as much as I'm building this realistic, there's got to be some little bits that, kind of are allowed to slip through the cracks because, you can only take Planet Zoo so far. And then, as you can see, I've gone a little bit different with this one. I've gone with a low fence because I really didn't feel like we needed a high fence. So I've gone with a lower fence. I've gone with like a really small kind of chicken wire type design. I've basically just overlapped them, essentially, to kind of get this smaller design for these animals. And then if you just kind of like look over, I've got this little wooden hut thing that they can go in and hide should they wish. I don't think any of them are in here at the moment. And then we've kind of just got a few little bits and bobs for them to mess around with inside, and some water and food bowls, basically. Really basic, but the sort of thing that you would potentially see inside a habitat. What I should say, I'm going to apologise for the background noise. We're having a lovely day here in the UK, and I've got the windows open because it is very warm. So apologies if you hear any background noise. So yeah, it's really basic, but I like it. I kind of really like the internal design as much as the external design. I think it does the job, and that's all you really need from these buildings at the end of the day. Now, before we go out onto Hab and take a look at that, what I do want to do is kind of show you how this has all been finished off back here, basically. So I've shown you all that side already, but this side we're kind of finishing off as we go along as well. I'll talk to you about this in a moment. This is very garish, and I need to disguise it, but basically it's because of the nature of what I've done the other side. But yeah, as you can see, I've kind of just brought all the pathway round, and what I'm going to eventually put in here is kind of like the the housing unit for kind of like the tanks that would look after the water in the sea lion habitat, basically. It's the perfect place for it. I kind of had one that was pre-built, and then when I put it in place, it was too big. So that was a little bit of an issue. So I do need to scale it down a little for what I want to be there, what I want to put there. And the reason is as well, I need this to be relatively wide because obviously this would have vehicle access. So, we need to leave that relatively, wide there. So yeah, that's basically what's going to go in that green space in there, basically. What I would love to do is maybe put some like staff seating around here, but I think I may end up putting it over here because this is where our little staff house is. And we're probably going to add a bunch more kind of like backstage stuff over here anyway. I'm really, really looking forward to the new DLC that's just, dropped as well, because it's got lots of backstage items that it's going to save on pieces and just look absolutely amazing. So now let's take a look at the habitat, shall we? So you can come down this way now, like officially this is all finished. I've done all of the pathing. I've got all the grates in for the water. As you can see, really, really nice like as well. I really think like this sweeps down here really, really nicely. You kind of walk down this way. You're met by these gates, and then as you turn the corner it really opens up again, and that was something I was really conscious of. I was worried it was going to feel really closed in, but no, it opens up again, and then it opens into a really, really nice area. Obviously I've not done any of the signage because it takes a lot of time. I've still got lots and lots of that to finish, and I usually do it in bulk, but we will obviously have a directional sign here and our education and whatnot all around the edges. I'm left this all open, and I've left all this a bit garish and a bit unfinished because I really don't know what direction we're going to go in over there. So it's best to just kind of like leave it open. But yeah, a few trees just to kind of like create a nice bit of natural shade. And then we come over to the hab, and as you can see, we've just gone with our usual kind of details. This is just over chest. This is chest height basically, so adults can see over, but then we put these glass windows in, more for the kids and more for kind of like that face-to-face kind of feel and that sort of view. And then what we've done with this habitat basically is we've got a couple of mounds. Basically we've got this one over here which has actually got a really, really unique purpose, and then we've just kind of put a big mound in the middle that's a bit more like open, not as much like foliage and whatnot on it, and then we've kind of got some like built bricked up areas with some like foliage in them as well, and just the usual bits and bobs basically that we've put around the edge. But yeah, if I just kind of walk you around, you'll see what I mean about the big hill in the middle. A lot of the habitats that I looked at kind of had this big kind of like mound in the middle, which really, really worked, and I really, really liked it as well. So kind of gone with a similar design to a lot of the stuff that I see kind of like when I was looking, and then as you can see, I just got these more built up areas, so we get these nice little natural pathways. This mod was updated, the small hitbox mod, and so look how small I've been able to get that door. Don't get me wrong, it's still probably relatively large considering the size of the animals, but it's nice that you can get the doors down to a really, really nice size. And then we come around this way and another little viewing area, and as you can see, which is really nice, as you come down these stairs and you've got this seating. Now unfortunately this ground level just wasn't high enough for me to actually put stairs in, so I've had to put a bit of a ramp in here, so we are going to get some clipping through the stairs, but aesthetically I will always go for that look over a little bit of clipping through the floor. So yeah, it's just one of those things, but it will still look very, very nice basically. So yeah, let me just explain kind of like the hab as well. So as I've already said, a lot of the stuff I found was kind of like lots of mounds kind of in the middle. A lot of them had like a lot of wood and a lot of rocks and that sort of stuff, so I made sure to kind of like work that in there. What I've done is I've actually used the very small faux rocks. I actually really, really liked them for this design because you could build up this really kind of like small jaggedy wall system. They all look like they've broken up and nice to put plants in and around them. I actually see another Planet Zoo creator, Caesar Creates, create these beautiful walls using this stone. And I don't get me wrong, I don't think I've really kind of nailed it as much as Caesar has, but he made these beautiful walls in a crane habitat, and he was able to kind of like raise it up and put it on the edge of water, and it just looked absolutely beautiful with the foliage all falling over the edge. And I thought I really want to try to do that in a hab, and so this kind of like ended up being the perfect hab to try and do it. So as you can see, you can kind of just build up all the little rocks, and then you get these beautiful kind of like designs basically, and when all the foliage is kind of hanging over them as well, it looks really, really nice, doesn't it? I absolutely love it. So yeah, thank you, Caesar, for putting that in one of your videos, buddy, because it really inspired me to kind of like try it myself and try and you know, kind of get something like that in this. Again, like I said, I've just gone with some like, you know, twigs and wood and some rocks, and you know, I wanted to leave quite a bit of this bare as well, just because of based on the stuff that I was looking at. I didn't want to completely cover this in foliage because I don't think it would have looked that good. Wouldn't have been too realistic. So yeah, as you can see, it's quite steep in places, shallow in others, but they can get, you know, to the top. We've put all their kind of like enrichment items in and kind of worked all the foliage around those as well. And then what I have done is I have created this kind of like little unique feature over here at the back. Now what this is here is it's one of the burrows. Now I haven't been using the burrows because obviously they go underground is where the kind of like housing unit for them is. But if you use your imagination, you could put that burrow in and it just creates a hole because you can't see the bit that's underground. And then I've created this like mound, and so essentially what I've done is I've put the hole there and I've kind of suggested that the burrow is inside that mound. And then on the back of this I've put doors. So essentially you can open that up and enter the burrow to make sure the animals are okay, which is something that zoos, you know, will exercise. They do want to make sure that the animals are okay all the time, especially when they do head counts and whatnot. They might not be able to find one, they might be a bit worried. Then you can open the door and you will see that your animals are inside there. So that's basically why I kind of added this little bit at the back. In doing so, it kind of made all of the, you know, all of the ground go a bit funny. Unfortunately, I just can't get this to go back where I wanted it because I've kind of put that burrow in place now. So I just need to think of a genius way to disguise this. I'm sure I'll come up with something eventually, but you know, for now it is a little bit messy. But yeah, as you can see, I just kind of put this little system in because I'm treating this as kind of like a burrow on the outside of the hab. And then, yeah, like I say, I kind of just built all these rocks up, really heavily planted this just to kind of disguise some of the ugliness that is underneath there. I actually think that like this bit of the habitat is my favourite part of the hab. And then the rest, I don't get me wrong, I like the rest, but you know, the rest is just kind of like your pretty basic kind of prairie dog hab, whereas this bit is kind of like a nice unique feature that we've given it, and I really feel like it kind of you know, really hits the spot. If I just take a look, I don't think there's anything in there at the moment. If we just enter, no, there isn't. But it does work. I've seen them in there, so it does work, which is great. So yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on that basically, and I'll see if I can get one to go down there ready for the cinematics. Okay, gang, so let's talk about what's happening next, shall we? Because I think that we're kind of reaching a point with the series where I keep saying I'm going to do lots of things and I don't get round to doing them. So this area here, we're actually going to move on from this area now. I feel like we've been working on this for quite some time, obviously adding shops, adding the sea lion habitat. You know, we added a little extension to the camels as a result of this bridge that we built. We've now added the prairie dogs. I think that's a great addition though, to be really honest with you. I think that was something that really needed to be done there. So we've added the prairie dogs in, and I think that's a nice animal to go next to sea lions, and it kind of leads us off in kind of a in a particular direction that we can go, kind of like North American, you know, sort of vibe that we could have in this area near that restaurant and whatnot. So I think we're going to move on from this area and we're going to start tackling some other stuff because we've got really big projects, you know, still to come. And, you know, I think it might be a really good time with the new update and new animals coming that we really start to kind of like tackle, you know, other things. So we are going to move over and we're going to start tackling the African area. That's where I'm going next. Not going to change my mind on that. This is what I'm doing. The only thing that might change my mind is if I decide to do one of the new animals, you know, from the DLC. I've taken a look at the new DLC animals. I do think that some of them would fit in the zoo. So I'm just really considering, you know, which ones. And then what I'll do is I'll update the animal list and share it on the Discord, and then share it in whatever episode it is after I've updated it. But yeah, that might, you know, change for one episode. It might move me off, you know, elsewhere. But for the foreseeable, we're going to be trying to finish off Adventure Africa. Now, as you all know, the plan I've put in place is that we're going to do almost like a safari zone feel. It's not going to be on a ride or anything like that. It's going to be like a walkable safari. But we want all of the habs to kind of have a viewpoint where they almost feel like they're all together. Essentially, that's the feel we're going to try and go for. Whether or not we're going to be able to achieve it, I really don't know. But it's going to be a nice walk to the you know, the ramp that then will take you back into the main part of the zoo. But essentially, we want to get this finished now. I've said that because of the nature of the way I'm going to build it, I want to build it all in one go. Which does mean that when I bring episodes to you, they're going to be in parts. A bit like the sea lion, they're going to be in parts. So there's going to be, you know, probably 1 or 2 episodes that are going to feel very unfinished. So I want you to keep that in mind, gang, because it's going to be difficult, basically, to kind of like really hammer home exactly what I want to do, building one habitat at a time. Because if I do that, I won't be able to achieve certain viewpoints. And really as well, the path is going to be the biggest and trickiest part of this part of the build. What direction do I take the path in? Where do I create viewing sections? You know, do I have any vista areas where we want to get nice photo opportunities? You know, there's lots of things to think about, especially when you're building a realistic project like this one. So that is what's going to be coming next, is Adventure Africa. Like I say, I'll have a think about the new animals, and you know, I will update the animal list as and when I've had a good think about it and I added them. You have to remember, when we started this project, the animal list wasn't put together by me. It was put together by a friend of mine, and my wife had some suggestions as well where the animal list was concerned. So obviously I had nothing to do with it. But since they gave me those animals, I've kind of been texting them saying, this is the new animal list from the new DLC, which ones do you like? And they've kind of been semi-deciding for me which animals we should add. So I'm probably going to have to do the same again with the new DLC. But yeah, that's essentially where we'll be heading next, back to Adventure Africa. And yeah, really hope you're looking forward to it, gang. But yeah, just a quick look at the zoo. It's looking absolutely amazing, isn't it? It really is. I'm absolutely loving this project and the way it's coming together. It's really all starting to tie in, and I like the fact that it's going off in all different directions, and it's kind of like slowly but surely kind of naturally falling into place with certain areas. That's my favourite thing at the moment. And so there you have it, my friends. We are done and dusted for another episode of Tropical Wings. I told you it was going to be a short one because unfortunately I just didn't get a lot done. But let me know what you make of that Prairie Dog habitat. I hope you like it. You know, I'm a big fan of it. I think it really sits in that area nicely as well. And we'll transition into a kind of like new zone of the zoo. And obviously let me know what you make of what is to come where Adventure Africa is concerned. But I'm done and dusted, my friends. If you're new around here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the channel. Drop a like on this video if you have enjoyed it. But my friends, until next time, stay safe, stay humble, and I will see you real soon.